Good morning. Oh, that's such a well-timed yawn, Lincoln.
Me too, buddy.
Welcome to What the Hell is Water. I'm Reed Garcia.
I'm Danielle Garcia.
And this is Lincoln Garcia. Does he have a long, full name?
No.
Okay.
I think if we ever had decided to register him with the American Kennel Club, then we were going to do, like, Reed and Danielle's Missing Link or something like that. Okay, well, yeah, that's why we did it, you know?
Just kidding.
Missing link. Oh, it's a missing link.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, November 25th, 2000.
24th? Is it?
What did I say?
25th?
Yep. Tomorrow is the 25th.
Ah.
Thanks. Good catch. This is the nice thing about having someone who has good eyes sitting here on the couch with me. They're able to make catches like that.
I just heard you say it.
Oh, wow. Oh, this is the nice thing about having you on the couch, so you catch that.
Someone with ears.
Someone with ears. I've not met anyone without ears. That would be interesting. You know, certainly I've met some deaf people, but no ears. Oh, interesting. Anyway, so Wednesday, November 25th, 2021. Yesterday, we had on a lovely guest, Earl Bailey, and we talked a little bit about religion. And it was interesting because we didn't structure things too much beforehand because we wanted to see where the conversation would go, and it didn't get to some of the things I thought it would, and it got into a lot of things that I didn't think it would. I don't know how did that go compared to what you were expecting?
I would say it was wildly successful for our first show talking about, I guess, yeah, like one of those touchier topics that they say, especially being Thanksgiving week, like around the holidays, don't talk about religion or politics, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, some of the stuff we were talking about around religion was, you know, why do people get so defensive about it in the first place, right? And part of that's because it cuts true to your identity. It whenever you're talking about religion and politics, a lot of times those are things that people have so internalized that they're a part of themselves. And so when you question something, even if it may come from a loving place, caveman brain says, oh no, you're questioning a part of me and who I am. And so that can generate this response. And that's even whenever you're doing it in a kind and loving way. And let's be real, not everyone always talks about religion and politics in kind and loving ways, do they?
No.
No, they don't. So, yeah, check out yesterday's episode to watch a little bit more about that. And that is a topic we'll definitely be talking about more and at different times with various people. But I also agree. I think it was a great discussion. Earl was a great guest, first time doing anything live, maybe even his first time being interviewed, I'm not sure. But he killed it. I thought he did an amazing job, and we may be seeing more of him yet. Just you wait. And he also came up with an amazing challenge for us yesterday, which was to read something that you wouldn't normally read otherwise. And almost, he might even said the words, read for the sake of curiosity. And I'm a big fan of that, not only because my name is Reed, but because it's encouraging you guys to, you know, get out of your comfort zone a little bit and check out something you wouldn't otherwise, you know? So, you know, maybe if you've always just only read romances, maybe you read a different genre, or maybe you are finding some random fact. You know, Earl, I think, was sharing how he one day was reading about Iceland for some reason, and he was just like, I don't have any interest necessarily in Iceland or anything tied to it, but I just decided to read about it. And you know, that's how you can find out some more fun things. And if nothing else, you have some things to say over the dinner table tomorrow, and you could say, one of my favorite phrases is "fun fact for you." You ever heard me say that one before, Danielle?
Oh, just a couple times.
Just a couple few. So that was yesterday. And today, we actually are having a lovely, amazing person. Oh, Danielle, hello. Nice to have you here. Ryder is off. He's ridden off into the sunrise. Well, I guess running away from the sunrise because he's going west, but he's going off away and he's going to hang out with some of his family. And today we are also going to do an abbreviated episode because we're going to go spend some time with our family today. And yesterday, after work, Danielle and I went with her family to go do something that is near and dear to Danielle's heart. Drink. Oh, I mean, Friends trivia. That's what I meant to say. Yes, we went to
Friends is near and dear to my heart.
Yes, trivia.
Trivia,
it's fun.
Take or leave it. But when it's Friends trivia, then, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought we would talk a little bit about Friends and just full disclosure. Danielle has seen all of the episodes like 4 times or something crazy.
At least I would say.
And I have never been one to put Friends on myself, but Friends is one of those shows that even if you don't put it on yourself, it comes on, enough to where you see some stuff. And I've definitely been around people between Danielle and some of my friends and family where I can catch some references and answer some of these questions, even though I was never a show that I was necessarily really into. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. The other thing we're going to talk about is a little bit more about Thanksgiving and see about what some of our favorite traditions and foods might be. And then lastly, we're going to talk about being intentional with your conversations and how you spend your time with people over this holiday, and largely with friends and or family. So those are some of our topics for today. Let's go ahead and roll that intro. Helpful for life. Welcome back. I'm Reed Garcia.
Danielle Garcia over here.
And over there, she's no longer Danielle Garcia. Her identity is firmly associated with that couch.
On this couch.
And this is Lincoln right here, whose name could have been Reed and Danielle's missing link. Let us know if you guys think that was a good name, a bad name, just the right amount of cheesiness. But the reality is with all of those quote-unquote legal names for dogs is the most important part is what you're going to call them. And sometimes you just make up something longer. I mean, so one of my dogs early on with my family was called Colada. And her name was something like Pina Colada Coconut Fluff or something like that. I don't know exactly what it was.
I don't remember the full name.
And so yeah, so you sometimes you come up with those, and you had a fun one for your dog. It was just so sweet, right?
Yes, her name, we called her Chrissy, and then her full name was Danielle and Jenna's Dream of a White Christmas. Because we got her on December 8th, I think.
And she's a Bichon, which is a white fluffy dog.
Yes.
So that's, in my...
and it snowed that Christmas.
Wow.
And it hadn't snowed in Texas in years and years and years. And then she went out in the snow and she was literally like 1.8 pounds. And she just hopped through the snow. And then she came inside and just shivered and napped in our laps. It was so cute.
All right, Danielle.
There you go.
I'm giving you homework already, which is we're gonna have to have a doggy picture slideshow at some point.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to talk about dogs too and what they mean to you because we haven't done that yet, and I think that would be a good topic to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But Friends. So let's talk about Friends. Danielle, tell me the first time you think you saw Friends.
Well, I actually know the first time I saw Friends because it was in middle school. And it was either 7th or 8th grade. And no, it was 7th grade because the older girls were watching Friends. And it was the finale. Like it was the year that Friends went off the air. And so everyone around the school was wearing like, I stan Ross and Rachel would be the phrase that you would use these days, which is, I guess, like a reality TV show term now where it's like, I support their relationship. I stan them. But... and so there were like Ross and Rachel buttons everywhere. And then in my choir class, there were 2 girls who loved Friends more than anything. And the teacher actually let us put on the finale of Friends, like the day or 2 after it aired. So that was my first time watching it, was watching the finale when I knew nothing about the show and had never seen it before because I wasn't allowed to watch it. And then I started watching the reruns either 9th or 10th grade.
Well, that's a very good story, and I gotta say, I'm not surprised you remember that so vividly. I mean, that's one of the cool things about you is you do remember all of these stories very well, and that's what makes you such a good writer.
Oh, thanks.
And also, one of the ways that I think you've done a good job of helping remember things is journaling and diarizing. If you want to use another verb for it. And for those of you who haven't yet, you should go join Danielle's journal challenge. I'll drop it in the chat here in a second, but you can go to her website at daniellemgarcia.com. M is in Mary or movie.
Or Murray,
or
which it is.
DanielleMGarcia.com, and she has a journal challenge there you can join completely free, and you just click a link and put in your email, and you can start journaling tomorrow. And so back to the friends though. So for me, I don't know how I'd feel about seeing the very last episode before seeing the beginning, but I guess maybe it's a little bit different because I guess for those who aren't familiar, Friends is a TV show that aired from roughly 1993 to roughly 2003.
Or 94 to 2004.
Yeah, give or take
I think,
couple years. And it had 10 seasons, and it is touted as one of, if not the most popular sitcoms of all time. I would say. Would you think that's what people say?
Yeah, I actually don't know the
stats
rankings or the stats, but
at least
I know it's number one in my heart.
Oh, that's great. Number one in your heart. But it also had a very big cultural significance, and I was talking yesterday with some people about it, and it. A lot of people not only watched the show, but they loved the show. They just loved it so much, and they've seen all of the episodes, and a lot of people have seen them twice, and there's all these references, and there's all these jokes, and, if I said one word like gravy, Danielle would say some reference that had to do with gravy.
Moist maker.
Oh, there you go. See, and I think we're going to do a little mini game right here. Let's see.
Associations.
All right. Let's see how many Friends references you can do before I'm going to say a word and you say the Friends reference.
Which, it's funny that you say that because that in itself is a Friends reference.
Oh, my God.
When Joey was interviewing roommates, he was like, let's do word associations. When I say doggy, you say...
Am I supposed to guess?
I mean,
or what did they say?
I thought you would pick
Woof.
up. Oh, no.
I don't know this reference.
See?
What's the reference?
Style.
No. See, that's a good Friends reference. If it was, though.
I think the girl actually, he was interviewing a woman to be his roommate, and I think she actually said, like, cat or kitty or something, and then he was like, oh, no, get out of here.
Does he actually kick her out?
Yeah, well, because at that point he already wanted Rachel to come be his roommate.
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah.
In case you guys didn't already guess, when you have somebody who's seen all of the shows 5 times, there may be some small spoilers, but to finish my definition of the show, it aired on NBC, and there's 10 seasons, and being a sitcom, like, there are, I guess the way the sitcoms work is every episode can stand alone by itself, and it's funny in and of itself. However, as the season goes on and as the seasons go on, there are some things that you learn about the characters and that shift and change and relationships and all that kind of stuff, and people move, and but it's a show that you can very much enjoy just an episode or two of. And again, also, like, if you get like there's really not, I would say, that many big spoilers for that series, but you tell me because you know it better than I do.
Well, I mean, going back to watching the series finale as the first episode that I saw, I don't know if I was like watching it that intently because I was also in choir with my 2 best friends at the time. So we may have not been watching as intently as the girls who'd watched it all, but I figured there's 10 seasons. So if I was going to go back and rewatch it, then I would probably forget by the time I got back to the finale, which, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. I mean, I knew that,
yeah. That's
big spoiler, but.
That's good. All right. So I've now got a scoreboard up on the screen. For those of you who are audio only, we'll also say it aloud. And the title says, Friends. All right. So let's see. I'm trying to think here. Okay. Are you ready?
Sure.
Apple. Uh-oh. Oh, no.
My first thought was Ross at the hotel. Like when he's taking apples from the front desk.
Okay. Would Friends people allow it?
I don't know.
I mean, that sounds
Did
like
you
there's
have
an app.
something in mind?
No, I
Oh.
don't know. I don't. I'm just making up words and seeing what you come up
well,
with.
perfect.
So that's happened in Friends. Okay, banana.
Oh man.
Ooh.
Banana. Why? Is nothing? Well, now I'm thinking of the monkey.
Oh, see, there's a monkey. All right, and what's the monkey's name?
Marcel.
All right, I'll give you that one too. Okay, let's see. Coffee.
Central Perk.
Oh, nice. Okay. Dad.
Jack.
Jack.
It's, Jack and Judy is Monica and Ross's parents.
Okay. Eggs.
The chicken, the duck.
I guess it probably helped that we played trivia yesterday. So you're like,
Yeah, I'm like,
what's something that popped in there?
there's certain things that are more front of mind, I guess, right now.
All right. Let's see. One more here. Frank.
Frank Jr. Jr.
That's pretty good. So I think we could keep going for a while. That's
Yes.
the interesting thing is, especially as we were doing trivia there, was I could see your brain working, and you had the question, right? And then sometimes it gave multiple choice, and sometimes it had the fill in the blank. And regardless of you're looking at the answers or someone at the table said something, I could see your wheels spinning, and you're like, was it that? No, was it that? And then it's like, wait, okay, well, from this one scene, I don't remember it, but from this other scene, I remember they were talking about that other scene where they referenced it, and then that led to that. So yes, I think that's the answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think we got a single fill in the blank answer wrong, which was interesting because I feel like there were some multiple choice questions where maybe they were questions that I wouldn't have known either way, but maybe because it was multiple choice, it like tripped you up more so than if you just like gone with your gut and typed in a fill in the blank answer. I don't know, but
yeah, no, maybe
we'll see.
Maybe. But regardless, you know a lot, and you could. Another reason I know so much Friends is not because necessarily even I've seen a ton of them, but because basically every other day it's like Danielle says a joke or she talks about a story or whatever, and then I turn to her and I'm like, was that a Friends reference?
Yeah, it's really fun now when Friends isn't like on the air, and I guess there are some people who don't know it as well as I do, and so sometimes I'll say a one-liner where it's like it's from Friends. It's the exact one-liner because someone like set me up in real life so perfectly, and then everyone laughs, and then I'm like, that wasn't my joke. It was from Friends. I can't take credit.
But you don't always have to say that. Sometimes you just smile and nod and you say yes.
Depending on the group, sometimes I do.
Especially if there's people who later might be, wait a second.
Yeah.
So Friends. So I guess if the most important question to me about Friends is why do you like it so much?
Well, I actually can't say that I've analyzed this a whole lot, but I think for me it really comes down to the characters and how it becomes more and more funny once you know the characters, and then you can start like thinking about like, oh, what would they do in that situation? And then I think, and the one-liners, I guess, like it was just such a well scripted show where like every scene I felt like you learned something about the characters, or it was I don't know, I guess you just come to love it more and more and appreciate it. And it's like I catch something different when I go back and rewatch it. There are so many lines that still to this day, like just last month I was watching something, I was like, I never caught that line before. I never knew it said that. So yeah, that's kind of a cool, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that is a cool. I don't know. Well, also, so I'm sure there are things that make the show like objectively good, right? And it's won awards and things like that, and obviously lots of people like it. But do you think there's some other reasons too why you like it? And maybe other people that you watch it with or talked about it with, or maybe even the setting that you've watched it in, or did you watch it, by yourself in a dark room and binge through it all by yourself, or were you more watching it with friends or family or talking with other people, making references? How did you watch it?
I think I was mostly watching it with my sister. But now I'm trying to think, like, was she allowed to watch it when she was in middle school and I was in high school? I don't know. But
you'll get to have a nice conversation with her and
yeah,
find out.
but I know she is the one other person who also puts on Friends while she's showering or getting ready or doing your makeup, or just a show to have on in the background while you're cooking, where you can still appreciate those one-liners and the characters and the pieces of the story that still make me laugh, even though I know exactly what's going to happen, or there's just certain scenes that are iconic. And yeah, it's just something that I enjoy having on, because it's one of those shows where I know how it's going to make me feel. And usually I walk away feeling like, oh, like, yeah, I'm glad I watched that. And if I watch like a scary movie, I'll either put on a Disney movie or a Friends episode afterwards if I need some transition to sleep.
Yeah. No, that's good. Now I'm curious, if your sister was at trivia, we finished, I think, this was the largest trivia I'd ever participated in.
Yeah.
There were 130 something teams,
yes.
something like that. And we finished 34th? 34th? Yeah, 34th. You think we would have finished higher if we had your sister there? Or?
Quite possibly. I mean, we missed, what, 5 questions?
Yeah, I mean, out
overall?
of the 80 questions or whatever, we only missed like 5.
Yeah.
But some of the ways that trivia worked was based on how quickly you put in the answer, and it was on your phone. So I think there's some wishy-washiness there, and I think we really were much higher. But
we're higher in our hearts.
Higher in our hearts. Amen to that. So I'll ask you two other questions about it, which is, one, if you had to pick, so since there's 10 seasons,
mm-hmm.
they have some repeat type of episodes, and one of those is Thanksgiving, right? Do they have a Thanksgiving one every season?
That's what we were talking about last night, and I don't know if there's a Thanksgiving one.
Okay, well, regardless of if it's every season, they have a lot of Thanksgiving episodes, right?
Yes.
So which Thanksgiving episode did you like the most, or you think has a funny scene, or... Yeah, if I said, oh, pick a Thanksgiving episode, do you have one that comes to mind?
Well, now I'm trying to think if this was a Thanksgiving meal or a different meal, but I'm pretty sure it's Thanksgiving when Rachel makes the trifle, and then I want to say that's when Joey puts on Phoebe's maternity pants, and he's like, no, these are my Thanksgiving pants. And he's like, you got to eat some potato chips before you start the Thanksgiving meal because you got to stretch your stomach. And this is what the Tribbianis do. We eat. And then there's a scene where everyone is realizing that they had something wrong in their, they thought something and they were wrong. And everyone's like coming out with these revelations all at once, and then, but now I'm wondering if the season is. I think this was the same Thanksgiving scene.
Well, you know what? It's there's no points involved in this one. So
and then Rachel's like, I wasn't supposed to put lady fingers in the trifle or something, and then Joey's like, I want to go home, because it's just like after everyone is like, oh no, yeah. I'm not doing a very good job of that one, but there you go.
I mean, I found it amusing. so that's their Thanksgiving episode, and this is the harder part, or maybe a Thanksgiving episode, maybe not. Not that you would have any idea, but if in case you do, any idea what that episode title would be? One interesting thing about their episode titles is, besides the very first one, the pilot, and besides the season finale, they all start with the one blank, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, the one where Joey got a duck or whatever, and that's probably not one, but
Well, I think there actually is the one with the chicken and the duck.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yeah.
Any idea what this one you're looking at would be?
I think it may have been the one with the Thanksgiving trifle, or the one with Rachel's trifle. Maybe.
Yes.
I can't remember. I don't know if trifle was in the title, but that's a good one.
And we have Kenny in the chat saying that Joey doesn't share food.
Yeah.
Is that how he says it? I don't know how he says it. No, see, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And was he probably angrily holding
yeah.
food?
Joey doesn't share food.
Does he say it multiple times? Like, is that something he always says, or is that from a single episode?
I think there's 2 or
Okay.
3.
So it's not like, how you doing?
Yeah, that one's much more popular.
Okay, I saw the spelling on that yesterday. It was how ya doing? Was it ya or you? I
You.
always thought
He
it was more
definitely
you.
says you.
Okay, I was like, that doesn't seem typed right.
Yeah, and then when he's going to audition for a he's an actor, so he's going to audition for a casting call for twins. He hires another actor to play his twin and is trying to teach him how to say, how you doing? And the other dude says, how you doing? And Joey's like, no, how you doing? It's how you doing. So I definitely wanted to stand up and say that at the trivia last night. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and shout out to whoever happens to be listening that was on at this trivia and had the team name Joey Triviani. Because his last name
clever.
is Triviani, and so Triviani was a nice little, I don't know,
Yes.
pun or whatnot. So that was good. All right, so the last thing with Friends was, do you have an episode that you think people should watch, or do you have a spot that, hey, I'm not going to watch the entire show, but maybe I'll watch one part or a couple parts, where's somewhere I should start or something you think, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend starting at the beginning, but if you are decidedly not going to do that, then I would say when Ross gets married in London, which is it's a season finale and season opener. So I'm pretty sure they ended, it's either season 4 or season 3 or 4 going into season 4 or 5.
Okay.
When Ross is getting married in London.
And you can just do a quick Google
Yeah.
and find that one.
Yeah. I feel like that's probably like 4 or 5, somewhere in there are my favorite seasons. And I think that's probably the episode or the scenes that kick it off. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing some of your friends' knowledge with us, Danielle.
Anytime. You need some more reenactments or some one-liners, just hit me up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. Do you have another favorite catchphrase that is used?
Well, Phoebe is my favorite character. And I say a lot of things that I forgot actually came from Phoebe. So, like, if I'm leaving, see you later. Like, that's a Phoebe quote.
See
Or,
you later, like the spoon thing in the kitchen, right?
Yep. And, oh gosh, I'm just so floopy. If I don't know how I'm feeling, or I don't have a good word for, like, I'm feeling this type of way, but I can't articulate my emotions, then I just feel floopy.
I like that. Nice. I mean, and I think that's just a completely made up word, right?
Yeah. Oh, and she also says, I don't even have a pla.
Instead of I have a plan.
Yeah.
What's your plan? I don't even have a plan. I've heard you say that probably 4,000 times.
Yes, I used it a lot when we were in the RV.
Yes, we did not have much of a plan when we started that, when we were in the middle of that, or when we ended that. So that was a good one. Well, thank you so much for sharing your friends' knowledge. So, as we talked about with Friends, there are a couple episodes where they do Thanksgiving, and I can't think of Thanksgiving without thinking about food. But when you think about Thanksgiving, what pops to your head?
Yeah, food and family and hanging out.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's your favorite Thanksgiving food?
Oh, I feel like, well, my favorite is probably the sausage balls that we make to have as a snack for playing games.
And for those who don't know what sausage balls are, what are they?
So it's Jimmy Dean sausage, or
It's a hot
breakfast
breakfast sausage.
Yeah. And Bisquick, which is like
Biscuit
a box,
mix.
yeah, powder. And cheddar cheese, sharp, finely shredded cheddar cheese. And I think those are the only 3 ingredients. And then you just mash those up into a bowl together and then roll out little like sausage balls like this big and then bake them. And
Yeah, so
we
it's
bake a
kinda like-
whole bunch.
I mean, let me see. I think this is a Friends quote, but I'll change the words, of course. Sausage, good.
Uh-huh.
Biscuits, good. Cheese, good.
Uh-huh. Yep.
How'd I do?
Great. That's actually a reference of Joey talking about Rachel's trifle because
Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
two
there you
in
go.
one. I
Mhm.
like it. So sausage balls. So yeah, that's something that your family exposed me to. I'll avoid the sausage balls jokes, even though they all popped into my head.
what restraint?
I know. Thank you. They're very good. They make for a great snack. And you can have them hot, you can have them, room temperature, you can even have them cold, and they're good all of those ways. Because it's nice. You get the meatiness, you get the cheesiness, and you get, the kind of
the crispy crust on the bottom of the pan.
And then you get like kind of as you bite, like a little bit of the texture kind of a biscuit. So it's good. I would definitely encourage you, if you are cooking those, to make sure you cook them to where they get crisp, because you get that contrast of the crispiness with the softer inside. So that's pretty good. I like those as well. Now, and we make those every year, or most every year. I don't know if we're making them this year or not. We'll have to find out.
We're making them on Friday.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, good. For me, Thanksgiving food wise, I don't want to say turkey is my favorite, but I certainly enjoy it, especially because it's one of the few times that I eat turkey in a year when it's not like on a sandwich, right? And this year I'm especially excited because we're making fried turkey, which I think is objectively the best way to cook a turkey, because you get the nice crispy crust on the outside. We inject it with like some Cajun seasonings, which is also some good flavor. And then it also, because of the way it's cooked, it stays really moist, which is one of the problems a lot of times with cooking turkeys, is they can dry out a lot as they're cooking a really long time. So yeah, I really like the turkey. But the thing that kind of first popped to my mind was actually the stuffing or the dressing, and that's a big thing. Is it the stuffing or is it the dressing? Does it go inside the bird? Does it not go inside the bird? And it's such a great controversy. But regardless, whatever you want to call it, I really actually like that, especially, of course I'm partial to my mom's because I've had it for a long time, and she makes a cornbread based one. So it's, for those who don't know what, stuffing or dressing is, you take some sort of bread product. Some people use white bread, some people use cornbread. I'm sure that people use all types of stuff, right? But you take some of this bread product, and then you add in a couple of vegetables, some spices, and sometimes you stuff it inside of the turkey while it's cooking. That's where the name stuffing comes from. And I think dressing is often referred to if you just make it kind of in a pan. But yeah, I like that too, because the flavor is good, and it is a great vessel for gravy as well. And one thing my mom likes to do with Thanksgiving meals is she likes to craft the perfect bite. She's like, I got to get a little bit of turkey, got a little bit of stuffing, dressing. She probably calls it dressing. She's rolling her eyes at me right now. I can feel it. You get the little bit of the cranberry sauce, which also, come on, cranberry sauce. And then you get a little bit of, basically a little bit of things. You make the perfect bite. Do you mix your food like that when you're eating Thanksgiving, or do you stick
Sometimes.
1 to 1?
Yeah, I definitely mix potatoes, turkey, dressing, or stuffing, which I think you can call it stuffing even if it's not stuffed in the bird, because it still makes you stuffed.
Or you stuff it in your mouth.
Exactly. So dressing or stuffing, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, definitely do mix those bites. I don't put cranberry sauce on mine always.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But the bottom line is food.
Good.
Yeah. So Thanksgiving for me, I definitely think a lot about food and family and hanging out and having a good time. But one of the other things I think about, not just with Thanksgiving, but in general when I'm spending time, especially with extended family, and this is something that I've been a lot more intentional about over recent years, is having some intentional one-on-one or at least kind of small group time, especially if you're in a gathering where you've got lots of people, right? If you're in a room with, I would say, realistically, more than 6 people, it starts to get a little more chaotic. There's a little more going on, and you may not have quite as deep of conversations, and you might not, really get down to things. And I think the time where I started to be a little more intentional about this was, every year we're very fortunate that on my dad's side, we've been going on a beach trip every summer. And we've been doing that now for, it might have been 20 years at this point, which has been great. And that's the extended family. So now there's, I think, 27 or so of us. And we all go down and we stay in the same house. And I know some people are like, oh my gosh, how do you do that? But 27 of us in one house. And it's something that's really special and near and dear to my heart. And before the beach trip, we got this kind of itch from Thanksgiving and going to the grandparents' house in Mississippi and things like that. And I've always very much enjoyed spending that time with the family. But one time after coming back from this beach trip, I was talking with either a friend or a family member who couldn't go, and they're like, "Oh, well, how's so and so?" And I was like, "Huh, I don't really know. Like, yeah, we were there and we spent some time together and we had a good time, but I didn't really talk, at that level with them, right? I didn't really get to know how things are going in their life and what's good, what's bad, and that type of thing. And I still obviously had a great time, but then that was kind of after I had that happen. I was like, yeah, I think I'd like to try and make a point to go a little deeper and ask a little more questions and then push back. Especially we were watching the comedy yesterday. I don't remember the guy's name. Do you?
No.
But it's a comedy special. If you be careful where you search this, but if you go on YouTube and you type in comedy
stand up, the word
ass.
Yeah.
Look it up. There's a guy who
he's from Finland.
He's from Finland, and
yes.
He goes on Conan O'Brien. I'll look it up and share the link in the chat here shortly. But he talks about the word ass in the English language, among other things. And one of the other things he talks about is how in America it's like, oh, you say, "What's up?" and the proper response sometimes is, "What's up?" You don't really get past that kind of light level, surface level greetings and things like that. And so it's really easy to do these things or hang out or talk with people. And, maybe you talk about sports, maybe you talk about the food, maybe you talk about the weather, you talk about all those things, but you don't really talk about like, okay, well, how are things really? And so after that trip for me, I decided to be a lot more intentional about it. And that's been one of my favorite changes that I've made in my life. Do you remember this happening or this discussion?
I roughly remember it, but I was going to say maybe our challenge could be to have some more intentional conversations over this holiday week. And I was going to ask, have you come up with any good like prompts or questions that you ask people to shift the conversations from that surface level, how's it going, to a more intentional conversation?
Yeah. That's a good question. Because like, okay, all right, sure, I'm in. I'll do this intentional conversation thing, but how do I do it? Well, the one low hanging fruit that people could grab is, hey, I was listening to this podcast, I was watching this show the other day, and this guy said I should try and have some deeper conversations with people over Thanksgiving. So what's up? And it may be a little silly, but that's like a little bit of an icebreaker, and it's like, just. Here's another way. It's like, hey, I and it all depends on who you're talking to, right? Because some people, like, if you sit down and say, hey, I'd like to, kind of have a deeper conversation with you, get to know you a little bit better, see how things are going, like, they'll be, 100% open for it, ready to go. And some people will be like so open for it that you're like, whoa, okay, I think I might ask for too much there. And you're, 5 hours later, you're like, all right, can I go to the bathroom? And then there's other people who you ask something to, and then they turn to you and they just go, and hopefully you picture somebody in your head, as I did each one of these reactions, because there's different people who are going to respond differently to that. And I think some of it is just you being conscious about it. You don't even need to acknowledge it or say it to the person, but just pushing past and asking that next question. There's one technique that some people use. It's called the 5 whys. And it's like, oh, Danielle, how are you doing?
Pretty good.
Oh yeah, pretty good. What's been good lately, or you don't have to say literally the word why, but in your head, like, oh well, yeah. So what makes you say that you've been good, or why are you good? And you just kind of continue down that path, and Danielle gives an answer, and then, you're like, oh, okay, yeah. Lincoln has been being such a good dog lately. Oh, how has he been being such a good dog? That's cool. And I have a dog, so. I'll think on that and see if I can come up with some more tips. But yeah, the main thing is to ask some questions and push past that surface level. And especially obviously if you have some common area of interest, if obviously a natural thing to ask of people who have a job is say, hey, tell me a little bit more about your job. Like, what do you actually do, right? That's another Friends reference is when you give me the reference. I'll
Transponster!
which
No one knows Chandler's job.
yeah. Even though these are the whole premise of the show is there's 5 or 6 people and they're
Right.
all
And
spend
he's
all
had the
day every
same
day
job.
together.
Yeah.
But no one knows what his job is, and it's like I
Mhm.
bet there's a lot of people out there who don't know what their parent does or their friend does or their one of their family members, and be like, hey, so what is it you actually do? I know you're an engineer, but what does that even mean? Or hey, and then also you could talk about what they actually do, but then you could also be like, hey, complain about work to me, or tell me about a meeting, or you have any fun stories. That's a good thing to do is ask about stories and be like, hey, and with Thanksgiving, like you could ask the same kind of questions I asked Danielle. Like when we think about Thanksgiving, what does it make you think of, or when's the first time you had this? There's a lot of different prompts, and honestly, you could go do a little quick Google and be like, I don't know, conversation starters or something like that, and you don't necessarily want to be like, I've heard of, or at least maybe I've seen on TV where people like have a list and it's like literally like they pull it out and then they cross it out, and it's like, hey, if that's what you need to do, go for it. Like as long as you're working on having that conversation, but I don't feel like you need to have the list. But feel free to have something like that if it helps you have those deeper conversations. It'll be worth it, and it's also one of those things that if it's not something you do all the time, maybe it's not as easy or not as natural, but guess what? Just because you try it one time and it doesn't go that well, you get to just keep trying and you'll get better at it and it'll become more natural. And maybe you'll find out like, I thought I was going to vibe with, Uncle Mark, but really Aunt Susie, she's where it's at. She's got some really good stories. And here's a good one, especially if it's family related. Hey, tell me some stories about Mom. Let's go in the other room, and get some of those stories from childhood or whatever. And even better if you could get like a couple and was like, oh, hey, Uncle Bobby and Aunt Susie, let's go over here and talk about Dad. It's because I bet you guys have some good stories, and another one is to you tell a story yourself, right? And then see where that goes and help prompt people. And you never know what might come up. And another cool thing is, especially if you're doing this with a couple of people, is it's fun to see what one person remembers that the other one doesn't. And when you start to have these intentional conversations, that's been one of the things that I've really enjoyed is, we've heard people telling us stories and then their spouse will be next to them and be like, oh, I didn't know that. Or I forgot about that. Or, oh yeah, that was really good. And so, I think that having some of those intentional conversations has been good for other people as well, and them to share and to become closer with us. And that was one of my favorite parts about the RV as well, was it gave us the privilege of going and visiting family in a smaller setting, right? We do a very good job of seeing all of our extended family in general, but until we did the RV thing, it was largely in these group settings, right? And so having the RV enabled us to go and, hey, let's have one-on-one time or two-on-two time and have these moments. And, I can picture a lot of scenes in my head where it's like, oh, yeah, I remember we were sitting around the table and we were talking about this. Or, now, for example, to give a shout out to one of our favorite viewers, we got Grammy. She's one of our favorite viewers, and I've heard so many of her stories now, and I know some of her stories better than some other people who are in her family, right? And that's something I cherish a lot, and I think it's a really special thing. I'm very glad that we've got to do it. So that's the challenge for today, people. Go have a little bit deeper conversation. Have a little bit of an intentional conversation. And if someone says, oh, work sucks or school sucks or mom sucks or oh, Reed sucks, like, oh, why does Reed suck? Be careful with that last one, because there's a really long list that could come after that.
Yeah, you don't
want
to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, we won't. We definitely won't, but maybe one day. You never know. So that's the challenge for today, guys. Be a little bit more intentional and have those deeper conversations, and let us know how it goes. And if it goes well, let us know. If you fall flat on your face, let us know. If you would like some more tips and guidance on that, I could come up with some more things that aren't just on the spot and give some a little bit more guidance on that one. But yeah, any other thoughts, Danielle, for people going into this Thanksgiving weekend?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving indeed. I think that is a good thought. And honestly, right as you said that, my stomach literally started to grumble. I think I might need to get some breakfast to prepare my stomach for tomorrow. Just start gradually expanding it, get ready.
Gotta stretch and warm up the stomach.
Stretch and warm up the stomach indeed. So we are going to cut it off there today, give you guys a little bit of your morning back. So make sure to have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We will be taking off tomorrow and Friday. So we'll be back at you on Monday. And we will be having a great, excuse me. Oh, man.
The burps have already started.
Burps have already started, yeah. Which reminds me of a fun little tidbit from Danielle's family. One time we were going to Brazilian steakhouse where you eat a buffet style meat and all this food. And I'm like, why did all of you guys order the soda Dr. Pepper? And they're like, well, what you got to do is you suck down some Dr. Pepper and then you go, you gotta make some room.
Make more room in your stomach.
Which I'm sure is scientifically found. But it's a fun one. So we'll leave you with that one, guys. If you're wanting to make sure to make some extra room,
drink something bubbly.
Drink something bubbly
with your Thanksgiving meal.
Burp, and you'll feel like you got a little extra room at the end.
Save the best tip for the end there.
There you go. Exactly. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a great weekend.